In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a bath bomb out of this little peat mold. I'm going to use a really small recipe because I live in a really dry area and the recipe will dry out as I'm trying to work. We're going to keep that citric acid separate until everything's all mixed together. And putting those wet ingredients together, I use that little medicine dropper. And once they're kind of mixed separately, I'm going to make sure I get every drop of that wet mixture down into the bottom there. And then once it starts to incorporate together, we're just going to keep mixing and mixing, and I like to use my hands once I get to a certain point where it's starting to come together. And then I'm just going to rub and mix and squish it until it's completely incorporated. And you can check to see if it's too dry still by taking a little ball of it and squeezing it up in your hand. And then if you drop that and it's all crumbly, that means it's just a little bit too wet. So I just take a few drops of oil. There's probably about 2 milliliters in that I put in there. And then just really incorporate that well. Once you're happy with the consistency, add the citric acid in and mix that in. Once those are all mixed together, I'm going to take the mold and just rub a little bit of cornstarch into the mold to help it release. And I use these little sugar sprinkles for eyes. They just dissolve in the tub as well, which is kind of fun. I put that in very first, and then I sprinkle a little bit of the mixture over top and pack it down so that it will hold the eye in place. Then I'm ready to just pack the rest of the mold. And I like to pack that very bottom edge a little bit more firmly, but it's also important not to pack the whole bath bomb too tightly, or else it will just crack in half when you try and split it. And then once you have those just gently packed together, I'm just going to put as much mixture mounded up on the top as I possibly can. And I'm using my finger along the bottom of the mold to kind of line it up and help keep it straight. And we just press that straight together. It's really important that you're not twisting at this point, or the bath bomb will just crack in half. To release the mold, we're just going to tap really firmly, just kind of give it a variety of tappings. And if it's not ready to come off, you just tap it some more. And this very bottom edge of the Peep is really fragile at this point. And so just be really careful not to grab and put any pressure right there. And so I'm just kind of showing you where you can grab. And sometimes I have to tap it a little bit more with the Peep in my hand like that to get the second half to remove, but this one's ready to come off. And so I'm just taking that and pulling the mold off, and you can actually see that my mixture was a little bit too dry, and so it didn't hold together. And if that happens to you, it's no problem. Just put it all back down into the basin, smash it back together, and try again. I've added a little bit more oil. I actually had to try 4 different times and continue to add more oil until I was able to get it to stay. And then you can just see I'm mounding that back up on top, ready for another try. And at this point, I really had to tap it a lot. I had to cut a lot of tapping out of the video so it didn't get too long, but it was a little stickier with all the oil I had to add to get it to stay together. And there was an example of how it wasn't ready to come up yet, but just with a little more tapping, it released. And then just, again, being really careful with that bottom part. Once they are dry, it's a lot stronger and you don't have to worry about it breaking off. And then once it's dry as well, I can take that little center line and I just kind of break it off with a little butter knife and get it all smooth and cute. And once they're dry, you're ready to go. They're very cute. Have fun.